So we are live for the Leicester City versus Liverpool post-match podcast. Today I have with me Hassan and I have Fergs. Some of you will know Hassan as CrackerJacker on the forums, and Fergs is just Fergs. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate this. So, how's your day going so far?
Better with the win, I'm guessing. Like, it's been a good day. Enjoy my time so far.
And perfect, excellent, Hassan. And so basically, what about you, Fergs? How's your day going?
Yeah, I'm glad of the 3 points. Yeah.
Good.
I'll save the rest for the actual conversation. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. I'm glad of the 3 points. There we go.
Good. I'm glad with the 3 points as well. So let's get into it. Let's get discussing sort of your preliminary thoughts on today's result. Hassan, what did you make of the performance today?
It was like typical us. I think we were fairly comfortable at 2-0 until the 47th minute, and I think the ref messed up a fairly easy foul to call, and that brought Leicester back into the game. I think our heads went down entering halftime. Second half I thought we started slow, but we got the goal, and for me to concede the second in 90 seconds was just like, what are you doing? Not sure what we were trying to pull off there. And then we had a penalty. Thankfully, like Mignolet made up for his mistake, but I think we got a bit of luck that we didn't have in previous games this season, and we just got the win. And for now, that's all we can do. I think we're a point behind Chelsea, or a couple of points behind Chelsea actually. So you can only win and hope for the best at this point.
For me, like, we've only lost once this season in the league. So yeah, fair enough, we're drawing to poor teams, but we have only lost once. There's still plenty to play for. It's way early. So, I mean, you can forgive a couple of blips while we find our feet and adjust to the way we're playing, having Coutinho dropped back, although that wasn't the case today. Today's game, my main thoughts were that it wasn't even about the two teams on the pitch, it was about the ref, because he wanted to be the centre of attention, and he completely ruined the game.
I mean, yeah, that was part of it. Like, there were a few calls where I'm like, what is he trying to pull off? Did you think it was a penalty, by the way?
Yeah.
Because
regardless of whether he gets the ball, like, people are going to say, yeah, but he got the ball. But I mean, there's no such rule in the game that in a tackle that he got the ball. You either commit a foul or you don't. Whether you touch the ball, that isn't the overall sort of deciding factor. So yeah, he did connect with the ball, but he came out and basically clattered Vardy. So yeah, that's the penalty to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tough. Yeah, go ahead, Hassan.
No, I'm just saying I'm agreeing with him.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree as well regarding the penalty decision. He did get the ball, so there is something to take into account there. But at the same time, he also got a lot of the man. In fact, I would say he played more of the man than he did the ball in that exchange with Vardy. So I'm not surprised to see the ref give a penalty. Although when I first saw it live, I thought there's nothing really in it. But on the replays, it looked kind of like I could see why the ref could give it, but I could also see why another ref may not have given that. So again, I wouldn't say it was the most clear-cut penalty in the world, but I could see why the ref certainly did give it in this situation. And to be fair, Leicester did have a goal ruled out for offside in the first half when Henderson was playing Okazaki onside. So I think that call sort of made up for the earlier one.
But the first call, everyone was offside. The ball went to Maguire, who was offside. Like, okay. I think there was less players who were offside, and then the ball went to Okazaki.
Oh yeah, you're right on that one. Right. So
the penalty incident though, like, that's a foul anywhere on the pitch because he's gone over the top of the ball. So whether or not he touched the ball or not, he went over the top of it. Like any tackle in the midfield, up front, whatever. Like if you go over the top of the ball and clatter the man, you're getting a yellow card and it's a foul. So I think the fact that it was in the box doesn't really change the way it's happened.
As far as like the performance goes today, I thought it was quintessential Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. It was good attacking at times, in fairly open game. So it was really good attacking. So some of the defending was really, really problematic. In particular, I thought Dejan Lovren had a ridiculous game at times today. In that first half, he played like a complete imbecile. I really don't know what more to say about him. It looks like him and Klavan are basically playing to see who can lose their job fastest at this point. I'm just completely dumbstruck as to the fact that we have virtually two unplayable center backs at this club right now.
I think that's harsh on Klavan. I don't think Klavan is as dumb like Lovren. I don't think Klavan is a great defender. I think he's okay. He's a backup center back. He should be the fourth choice center back.
He should.
Yeah, but at this point, like at least Klavan isn't an idiot. Lovren, when he plays like he did today, I mean, first half there were a couple of times where he was just giving the ball, and maybe another game, Vardy takes the ball, and they have a one-on-one and they score. So I'm not sure what he was trying to do the first half, especially. Even second half, he wasn't exactly great. And even like Matip wasn't at his best either.
No, he wasn't. I agree with you there. Joel was certainly not at his best. In fact, I think Lovren's first play of the game, he passed the ball out of touch when he was passing to Moreno with his weaker left foot. He started the game off on a shit note. So, true to himself, he carried that on as well. What about you, Fergs? Do you have anything to say on Lovren?
The pressure is getting to him. Like he's obviously aware of what people are saying, both media and fans alike. And you could tell, like what you just referred to there, him kicking the ball out of play. I think he did that 3 times in the first 10 minutes, and he just didn't settle very well. I touched on this a couple of podcasts ago, actually, in that he's trying too hard to impress instead of just doing his job. He's trying too hard to be that guy that stopper that gets in there and challenges everything, and he just doesn't have the brain cells for it. Like defensively as a whole today, like individual mistakes aside, our sort of positioning and as a group, rather than individuals pointing somebody out, our positioning as a group in relation to where the other people are in the back line was absolutely abysmal. Like we're getting caught under the ball too much. The fullbacks again getting caught too high up, so we just don't have a solid bank there. And luckily, we weren't. It didn't cost us too much today. The 2 goals we did concede were from individual errors and bad calls. So yeah, we got away with it today, despite not being very good.
But I would say again, like in the Burnley game, we didn't get the break. I thought against Watford, we were, after the second half, we were fairly unlucky. I mean, they were dumb mistakes, especially against Watford. But against Watford, they had an offside goal. I think against Burnley, we just had chance after chance, and we had a penalty call that wasn't given. I think against Sevilla, we had a penalty at 2-1 up. We missed it. We had a couple of easy chances we could have scored from, and we didn't. So I think today we got a bit of a break, to be fair to the rest of the team. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think people have overreacted over the 4 games we've lost, because we aren't even in October yet. Yet people somehow like treating it as if, we've lost a big chunk of our season to nothing. And I mean, a draw against Sevilla at home isn't the worst result as well. So hopefully, like this win, and especially the penalty save, just gives a bit of more confidence to the team.
I was more confident simply because we started Moreno. I mean, this kid's dying. He's so dynamic going forward. Um, Defending, he's not the best. I gotta agree with all the criticisms that have been thrown at his doorstep. Defensively, he is a liability, but as an attacking force, he's better than average. He's really good to very good at times. Uh, his piece of play to basically get us that free kick from which Coutinho scored was a lovely bit of play. He took the ball down really well, drove well into he took the ball down really well. He drove at the Leicester goal really well, and he forced Ndidi to foul him. And then Coutinho basically did the rest from that point on. But again, super play from our left back. It's nice to see the left backs this season contributing really well, both him and Robertson.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, I mean, another positive is that Mane is no longer suspended, and we have him back for next week against Newcastle away, which means that we should have Coutinho, Mane, Salah, and Firmino. And I hope, like, I would double down on our attack right now and just go with those four and go with Sturridge up top and just say, guys, just score 5. Just do whatever it takes. Bail us out from now on.
Yeah, so you would play probably someone like Henderson or Emre Can along with Coutinho, and then go with Firmino, Salah, Mane, and then Sturridge up top, and then 4-2-3-1, something like that, right?
Yeah, and have Coutinho as part of the two.
As
Just
Coutinho,
see.
yeah.
I mean, we have to, because I don't think there's a point. Like Wijnaldum today again
Yeah,
did nothing.
he did nothing.
I've been very disappointed with him this season. I think Henderson had his best performance so far. I thought he was good today. He was the best guy in our midfield. And Chan has been okay this season. I think he's probably been the most consistent midfielder we've had. But, like, I don't see a point in trying to say, let's hope these three in midfield will do something. Just say, right, you 5, get us sorted out up top and get the job done.
Yeah, I gotta say, today I thought in the first half Henderson and Emery did a very good job. I thought Emery was actually our best midfielder in the first half. I think second half he tapered off. He usually has that from time to time. He does taper off in the second half, but he was actually pretty okay with the ball today. Didn't really give it away. There was one overhit pass I remember in the middle of the park, but first half I thought Emery was good. I thought Henderson was also good. Wijnaldum, I'm really not seeing the point. I gotta say I've never particularly been a fan of him in midfield, but today I thought it was a poor showing because he didn't show, and that was really the case. So I was disappointed in that. But overall, I was pleased for Henderson to get that goal. It was a nice finish from him, very composed. But some of that defending from Leicester for that goal that they gave up, that third goal, was shocking. I mean, the amount of space Henderson had on the left was just ridiculous. No team worth their salt should defend that way. We have only 2 men back and 4 men coming at you.
That's because Ndidi didn't track him. Like, Ndidi was ahead of the like. For us at least, sorry, he was in a position to block Henderson's run, and he just watched Henderson run past, and then he basically jogged. Like, I picked up on this really quick. I saw somebody post a comment on the game thread, like something like, "Oh, indeed, he would do a good job for us" or something, and then just his complete lack of effort to track back on that. I mean, it was a 3v2, and you can't get caught like that. Their centre back shouldn't have been pushing that high, Maguire anyway, with the ball. But the fact that Ndidi was there to cover and just watched the eventual scorer run straight past him was absolutely disgusting. Just to quickly flip back onto something you were speaking about, I didn't actually get a chance to jump in, was about Moreno, that he's definitely been the best defender so far for us this season, without a doubt. He still has a couple of mistakes in him, but I think it's becoming more evident to people that him getting caught out of position is a lot down to the way we set up to play and how much we control the ball and expect the fullbacks to push on. So it's going to happen, unfortunately. Better teams are going to utilize the space there and punish us for it. But when we're controlling games, he's doing what he's asked to do, and it's more a failure of the system than him as an individual. But much improved. I mean, I was a huge critic of his last season, and yeah, and well, the season before, because he didn't really play all that much last season. But yeah, he's got his head down, whether that's Klopp's work or whether he's just kind of matured a little bit. And he's still reasonably young, so you never know. He could be good for us going forward. Fingers crossed. Midfield-wise, Henderson, I don't even think he had that great of a game today. Again, huge shock because I'm a massive fan. I think the goal and the tackle and stuff leading up to it is just papering over cracks in that he didn't really control the game as he usually does with his air brackets ran out, sideways passing and backwards passing. He looked under pressure an awful lot, and he was very, very close to giving the ball away a few times from the Leicester press. And he was giving passes to his teammates that were putting them under a lot of pressure as well. So I just don't think he looked all that great today. Wijnaldum a passenger as always. So Chan the best of the bunch there for me in midfield.
I mean, I did think that Henderson was probably the best today because I did think he overall, if you look at the 90 minutes, I did think Chan had the better 45, the first 45, but overall over the 90, I thought Henderson had a pretty good game today. Milner didn't really add much for me when he came on. I'm not really seeing the point in him in midfield, but we have signed him for midfield for some reason. So I guess, Henderson he looked head and shoulders above Wijnaldum and Milner when they were on the pitch with him, and he looked comfortably the best midfielder, the midfielder most likely to bust along and get to the ball or just do something positive with it. I just felt Milner and Wijnaldum were making up numbers there, and just their only job was to hook clearances away. And quite frankly, that's just not going to that's not enough when you have 30 odd minutes left to play in a game. So yeah, I thought Henderson did a pretty good job today, and kudos to him for getting a goal. Great composure there for that as well. Go.
I thought actually, I'm not sure if you picked it up as well, but Chan several times was the deepest midfielder.
Yes.
And further ahead, I think Klopp has. It sort of looked like those two were holding a bit more, and Wijnaldum was just in a bit further advanced position. Not sure what was exactly going on, but several times Chan was the player receiving the ball from the back.
Definitely.
And driving forward from the right. And I think like that Henderson at his best is a box-to-box midfielder. I think that's
you have to utilize his energy and his stamina. That's kind of what he should be doing rather than sitting as a 6. Chan is one of those that sometimes, he flatters to deceive. Sometimes he looks absolutely brilliant, but then sometimes he just doesn't seem to be able to get into the game. He said, I didn't really think about what you've just said in that they both seem to sit a lot more today. But obviously now you've mentioned it, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, it does make sense. He was taking the ball off the defence an awful lot. So it's not something I picked up on, though I kind of really wasn't watching for it. So I can't comment, I guess.
It makes sense for Henderson and Chan to kind of sit deeper, because I think for them, at least for our team, you have to somewhat compromise on our attacking system by making sure at least you can have 2 midfielders who are going to sit, because it doesn't look like, because we don't have a specialist defensive midfield player. So in this setup, which is almost then a de facto 4-2-3-1, it makes very little sense while Lallana is out to play a player like Wijnaldum in that role. It's just better if you play Coutinho, keep Henderson and Chan deeper, both of them taking turns to be the deepest one, and then doing what Hassan has kind of intimated in that you played the likes of Sturridge and the rest of them. Just basically, if attack is your strongest suit, then you might as well attack and and then leave defending for another season. Because quite frankly, right now, we're going to concede virtually every game this season. At least it's looking that way.
I don't. Also, go on, Dave.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, I just don't feel comfortable at all with anybody attacking us, regardless of who the team is. Like, I just expect something to happen for the opponent every time they attack us, because I have no faith whatsoever, no confidence in our ability to defend. So it's literally, I'm biting my nails the whole game as soon as they get the ball. It's like, okay, what's going to happen now? And obviously, I mean, we struggle to beat the people that sit back and just let us attack and control the ball, because we don't have I say we do have the ability, but we don't have the experience of breaking down those teams and getting wins enough to know what to do. So anytime we're attacked, I'm shitting myself, for want of a better expression. But yeah, just, I don't know. I'm getting frustrated with some of our attacking football as well, to be fair, because we're making the wrong decision an awful lot of times as well. People, I mean, he's only had brief cameos, but Oxlade-Chamberlain has really, really, really underwhelmed me so far since coming in. But I've got to give him a bit of a break because he didn't have a pre-season. He's still trying to settle into a new team. But when you pay that amount of money for somebody, you kind of expect them to hit the ground running. We didn't pay an awful lot more for Salah, and he's done kind of brilliant compared, I guess. So yeah, we're just all at sea. We don't have an identity as such, because sometimes we just blow teams away, and in other times we just look absolutely clueless and useless. Now, I mean, that's obviously based just upon the attack, and we're just useless completely as a defensive unit. So you just never know what team's going to turn up, and that's frustrating as a fan to watch.
I think that's partly why I like against the smaller teams, I'll just play the 5 and tell them, just do what you do. I mean, if you have Salah, if you have Mane, if you have Coutinho, if you have Firmino, and Sturridge is looking sharp every time he plays, I think there's enough there to just blow teams away with just like attacking verve. As for, I mean, I get playing with a midfield 3 against a bigger team. Maybe you're gonna concede a bit more possession, but like against Leicester today, we were playing with a midfield 2 because Wijnaldum was doing nothing. But I would say this: why did we sell Lucas if we don't have a defensive midfielder and we don't have a 4th center back besides Gomez? I mean, I forgot which game, maybe Sevilla. Lucas would have walked in the last 20 minutes and calmed everyone down a bit. And I think it was just a rushed decision to sell him if we're not going to get anyone in his place. And I do agree that any team, like it could be a Plymouth and they're attacking and probably shitting our pants.
Yeah, Sturridge did really well today, actually. Just touching on what you just said there. Like, he came in and despite, I think there was 2 instances, rather, where he really should have chased the ball and he didn't. He looked very, very sharp. If he can it just seems to be a mental thing with him. Like, he just thinks he's going to break down every time he opens his legs and tries to sprint. So he's kind of scared of that. And I get that because he's been out for an awful long time, but that's just kind of weak. He could get back to the levels he was at when we played with him and Suarez and Sterling as the front 3. He could be back to that if he kind of just got over this kind of mental block, because skill-wise, he did look very, very sharp today. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with the fact that Sturridge hasn't yet got too many goals this season, because he has looked terrific. Today he looked really, really good. His link-up play was superb. His control was fantastic, and some of the shots he had on goal were also really, really good. So I'm very pleased with Sturridge, and I'm one of those people in that camp where I want to see more of him, but at the same time, I don't want to see him at the expense of Firmino going out wide. I think that if you're going to play him, Firmino probably doesn't need to be on the pitch, or he can play as a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. But this situation, I think Sturridge can be an absolute revelation for us this season in a measured role, in a measured capacity. He cannot necessarily. We cannot put all our eggs in that basket, and I don't think we need to anymore. We've moved past that stage where we've sort of pined and hoped that Sturridge could come back to full fitness. But in this new setup, I absolutely do think that we can, we have a really good player in this team who can do some real damage to opponents that we face from season to season. What did you guys think about Salah's performance today? Hassan?
I didn't think there was that big chance in the first half where everyone was like, how did you miss that? I just think he didn't know where he was, and I just think he lost all sense of direction there and thought he was sliding it into the bottom corner. But that header, besides Mane, I can't think of many. I don't think anyone in our team would have scored that header. That was a great header from a great cross from Coutinho. I don't think it was, that effective most of the game, but his pace and his movement, at least once he'll be in a position to either score or give an assist. And he has 4 goals so far this season. Kudos to him. He's been so important to us getting some goals this season.
Yeah, Salah's it's a strange thing for me because what I'm going to say kind of contradicts what he's been doing, but it does make sense in that despite being one of our most productive players in regards to assists and goals scored this season, he's also very, very poor with his final product or his end product. The balls he chooses to make or the shot positioning and the angles he's trying to take. So if he could just improve on his decision making there and make better decisions with the ball, he would be outright phenomenal. He would take the league by storm. Again, he's been great, but at the same time, he's been kind of really poor in with his decisions. So it's a strange one. It's very, very hot and cold, but 20 times a game. So yeah, I'm enjoying watching him because it's very, very entertaining to watch and very exciting. But at the same time, it's frustrating seeing some of the decisions he's making.
Yeah, I mean, he does waste some chances. I think it's a bit like one player who was a bit like that was Salman Kalou for Chelsea. You'd watch him be like, what is he doing? And then at the end of the season, he'll be with 8 goals and 6 assists and be wondering, how the hell did he get to those numbers if he misses all those chances? But Salah, he is just an intelligent player, I think, in terms of movement, and his pace is just, he might be the fastest player in the league. And that's always a good skill to have.
Yeah, I get Fergs's point because today's game sort of typified the Salah's performance because once again he had a huge impact on the overall result of this game. But at the same time, there were large chunks of this game where he was not really noticeable. He didn't really have an impact on it. He tends to go in and out of games. He tends at times to even lose steam. He can start off really, really strong, really, really fast, and then he can taper off as well. But I can't really criticize Salah too much because he's had a terrific start to the season for us, and he's become a absolutely vital player for this team. Because right now, if we didn't have Salah and Mane had gone down, or at least been suspended the way he is, it would have been really, really tough. But having a player with his kind of pace just adds a penetrative element to this team, which we have with Mane. And now we have 2 players who have that. So it's a huge thing. And plus, his game intelligence cannot be mentioned without a lot of applause because he is terrific in his terms of his movement. He may not be the best dribbler with the ball. He may not be the best one-on-one player you ever want. But in all honesty, it's not the one-on-one players or the great dribblers who are going to cause the most impact. It's the players with good movement and who have a really sharp football mind who are going to get themselves in good positions and basically cause damage from those positions. So I'm just really, really happy with them.
I'm going to make a comparison here, and people are going to jump to conclusions straight away, but just kind of hear me out. Not style-wise, and obviously not position-wise, or even ability-wise, but contribution-wise, and his ability to and his knack for popping up and doing critical things. He's very much like Rooney was for England, in that he could appear to be a passenger for large portions of the game, and then pull something magical out of the air and contribute and change a game, which is exactly what he's been doing for us. He'll make that great run, the movement, or the pass, or the score, and he just kind of. But then the rest of the time, he's running around and kind of looking a little bit useless, kind of not knowing what he should be doing. Whether that's because I said he hasn't had he hasn't had very long to bed in with the team. But yeah, again, in my mind at least, comparison with Rooney, as in popping up for when we need stuff, just obviously not position and style-wise.
He's kind of like very much like a prototypical striker, if you want to think of it that way. He can be frustrating at times, can miss a few opportunities, but with Salah, I think someone mentioned this on the forums maybe a week ago, with regards to Firmino and how they are surprised to see Firmino on the score sheet, or they don't go into a game with the expectation that Firmino will score. And this is sort of the underlying argument about, is Firmino a number 9 or is he not a number 9? With Salah, I go into each game expecting him to score like a number 9. I absolutely do, because I just feel that his pace is something that you cannot teach, and it's incredibly hard to defend against. Defenders hate playing against players like Salah because they know that no matter what happens, if a ball breaks a certain way, he's gone. They're not catching him. So they have to be on their guard all the time and have to have full concentration throughout the 90 minutes, because he is an absolutely dynamic player. And you cannot. He is frustrating, and his end product could be a little bit better, but it's almost like a number 9 in that way, in the fact that I just expect him to be on the score sheet game in, game out right now.
I think just thinking back over what I've just said, I think actually probably a better comparison would be Torres towards the end of his time here, in that appears to be a passenger, but then has a couple of moments of brilliance and turns things around. So yeah, that's probably a better comparison than the Rooney one, though it made sense to me at the time, in that he's not full on for the full 90 minutes. It's kind of hiding. Here I am, back to hiding again.
Maybe more Owen post injury Owen,
maybe
somewhere around 2002, 2003 kind of Michael Owen, that kind of player where he can be on the fringes at times, waste a few opportunities at times, but still a very, very deadly player. Maybe not as much probably Salah is faster, but still a very deadly player, and a player you expect to see on the score sheet each and every time we play.
I don't want to take too much away from him, because I don't feel those comparisons really do him justice if you think about the ability and the style of the player. So that's not kind of what I'm getting at. I'm not trying to compare him to those players as a direct comparison, more just the way they seem to have the knack for pulling up and pulling something out of the hat, rather. But yeah, really impressed, but kind of frustrated at the same time.
So the prodigal son returned today to the team and capped it off with a beautiful free kick. I was reading one of the things they mentioned on NBC Sports, which was showing the match over here. It seems that since I don't know since when exactly, but Coutinho's got the most number of goals scored from outside the box right now of all current Premier League players. So he looked terrific again today. Capped it off with a trademark free kick. What were your guys' impressions on Coutinho, and are you guys happy to see him back and scoring again?
I'm just glad. mean, he's on his day is our best player. You know, the free kick today, he's a wizard with the ball when he wants to. Even against Leicester in the League Cup first half, 3-4 times just cut them open, and we just couldn't finish the chances. And I'm very excited to see him in the field. Like, you take out Wijnaldum and you put Coutinho there, potentially later on Lallana, with Mane, Firmino, Salah, and Sturridge as well. Like, you have something there, something that I don't think many teams would like to see in this league. And I just want to go back to the Salah point. I would say my comparison would probably be the player that Arsenal and England hoped that Theo Walcott would be.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Lots of pace. He should have been more dangerous than he is. He really should have been more dangerous. Fergs, what was your impressions of Coutinho today? Were you happy to see him back and close to his best again?
As a player, yes. He's got too much to offer us for him to leave out, and well, obviously evidenced by the goal he scored and the way he kind of dictated the play. But at the same time, like he hasn't quite kind of made up for the stuff that happened transfer window. So a few more of those, and I'll maybe be on my way to forgiving him. But like one goal and a couple of nice passes and good appearances, yeah, isn't going to make me forgive what's happened so far. But as a player, yeah, definitely enjoyed watching that.
You're a tough man to please, Fergs. Tough man to please.
I just don't forgive easy.
Well, I was not surprised when Moreno won that free kick to see Coutinho put that in the back of the net. It was almost too perfect of a position, not too close, not too far. And he's really got that technique down now. He's become an extremely dangerous player from these free kick situations. And terrific ball early on as well for Salah. That was an absolutely beautiful cross for the opening goal. He contributed as we expected him to, as being our best player, and well, at least being arguably our best player, because some may argue that Sadio Mane is our best player. But other than that, I thought Coutinho was fantastic today. Really, really great to see him firing on full cylinders, dominating that midfield, really just keeping possession going over for us. And he looked great. And, you know, the faster we see him alongside the likes of Salah, Mane, and Firmino, possibly Sturridge as well, I really do believe our chances and our fortunes will improve this season. So this was a good start, obviously. So I'm really happy with that performance from Coutinho today. Firmino, for me, not really in the game. Maybe he's had too many games now in a row where he's played, but not at the races for me today. But it's okay. Other players stepped up, so it's okay for Firmino to not have a great game. Sturridge looked a little bit sharper. Maybe he starts against Moscow. So we'll see about that. What were your guys' thoughts on Firmino? Hassan?
He was ineffective today, but I don't think like Klopp would drop. I think in Europe, Firmino is a bit more important for us than in the league sometimes. I think we need someone with his intelligence, his movement, and the ability to just bring Mane and Salah into the fore, which is why I think he's also important in big games, because he just drags defenders out of position. But yeah, I think he definitely starts on Tuesday. I don't think Sturridge starts, especially as it's an away game. Like we might need that bit of work rate up top a bit more. But yeah, today he was ineffective, I felt.
Yeah, again, I can't disagree with that. It was one of his kind of off games where he tries, but just nothing falls for him. And it's nice to have a different option in Sturridge on the bench, or even Solanke, because he's obviously completely different to those two as well. So yeah, we've kind of slated Wijnaldum for being a passenger, but I mean he's doing it consistently. Whereas I mean you've got to kind of allow a player to have an off game every now and again, and hopefully that's just a quick blip in Bobby's form, and he turns it around for the next game. I'd have no problems with him starting up front against Moscow.
One of the things that surprised me from today's game was the lack of the exclusion of Oxlade-Chamberlain from the starting lineup. It looks at this point, I'm not really sure where he's going to get his start from. Is it going to be out wide? Is it going to be in midfield? He's really not at the races at this point. And I know he's not had a preseason with us, but he's had a preseason with Arsenal. And he just looks incredibly off form right now. And he's not really had the best of starts this season. And he's not made the people who cheered his signing look particularly smart just as yet. What are you guys' feelings on Oxlade-Chamberlain? And if he is going to get a start, is it going to be in midfield for someone like Wijnaldum, or is it going to be out wide? Fergs, what about you? Go ahead, Hassan. Go ahead.
I think he'll probably be in midfield, and I think it's probably in a home game, maybe like an away game against possibly Newcastle, maybe after a European game. I think him and Milner will sort of complement each other in a way. I think it's one or the other who'll substitute Wijnaldum. But I don't think, anyway, like who does he replace in the starting lineup right now? I don't think he'd take Coutinho's place, Mane, Firmino, or Salah. And beyond that, like I don't think Klopp will drop Henderson or Chan for Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think that would be a very attacking move, and I'm not sure he's ready to do it. I think for today he thought, I'll have Coutinho on the left, and just have a bit more solid midfield to stop the counter attack for Leicester. And he just felt like Oxlade-Chamberlain wouldn't be the best option for today.
I don't think he's done anything to warrant a start whatsoever, so I'm quite happy. Well, to be fair, I mean, I don't really want him anywhere near the bench right now, the way he's playing either. I don't think he's been signed for midfield. I think he's been signed as additional cover for when obviously people like Salah and Mane need a rest. I don't think he'd do very well in our midfield. Although, I mean, it'd be interesting to have a different dynamic there in having a player with his skill set. But yeah, he's done absolutely nothing to warrant a start. The games we could have started him in, i.e. the sort of domestic cups, he may need that time to kind of settle in and get some time under his belt and see how we go from there. But right now, no, I don't want him anywhere near the team.
And this is sort of a hot take that I'll throw out there. I'm not really one to do hot takes or want to do hot takes on this podcast, but would anybody be interested in seeing Danny Ward possibly starting a game? Because Mignolet will get a lot of the plaudits for saving that penalty, and he should get a lot of the plaudits for saving that penalty. But had some moments today, he looked a little bit unsure, and obviously gave away the penalty. There were a couple of times when I felt, even on the Okazaki equalizer or the 2-1 goal, I did feel it was a little bit unnecessary for him to come out and rush out that way. He's done that before, and he gets caught a little bit in no man's land. But Danny Ward hasn't done anything wrong so far. Loris Karius hasn't looked particularly convincing. Mignolet's had his errors. I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Ward starts to make a case for himself. What are you guys' thoughts on Danny Ward and the Mignolet's performance today?
I thought Mignolet was Mignolet today. He's like, the best way I would compare him to is like an M. Night Shyamalan movie with a whole lot of plot twists and within like nothing particularly great. I mean, he makes a foul for the penalty, then saves the penalty. That sort of sums up his Liverpool career, I think, in like one moment. But for me, I would still like trust Karius. I think he got a lot of criticism last season, was made a bit of a scapegoat for a couple of results. And I get that he was the most convincing, but I think he starts against Sparta, and I think he's our second choice keeper. And Danny Ward will be playing in the FA Cup, I think. So he'll have this chance in January. But for now, I think Manuel will be the starting keeper, and it is what it is.
Mignolet wise, he should get the plaudits for saving the penalty, but at the same time, they have to take into account that he gave away the penalty. He was sloppy today. He did a few good things, and that he did try to be commanding, coming out and claiming the balls into the box, etc., which you kind of expect of a keeper. All the other keepers do it, so I don't suppose we should be raving about him doing that. Though obviously, based upon how he's been over the seasons while he's been here, that's a huge improvement. Karius, his first game, everybody were biting the nails and they were terrified because his distribution was slow and sloppy and he got caught a couple of times. But the second game he played, he was much, much better. So it'd be interesting to see, obviously, how he does with more game time. See if Klopp sticks to his word and starts him in the game against Moscow. See what happens. In regards to Danny Ward, I mean, at this point, Klopp should know who his number one is, and it appears to be Miggs. But we're going to have to wait a while to see Ward between the sticks again. So if we're having to wait for the domestic cup to come back around, the FA, then yeah, that doesn't start for a couple of months. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait to see him. Yeah, which isn't really fair based upon how he did perform the other night. I'd have no problems with throwing him in and see if he can swim. So what's the worst that could happen? We watched Mignolet just kind of collapse way too many times. So there's no harm in throwing Ward in and seeing how that works. But yeah, Ward and Karius definitely moving forward for me. They need opportunities for us to see more of them. Yeah, no problems with it. Miggs needs to realise that he isn't kind of free from blame and he can't just walk into the team and be number one despite having howlers.
And he made in the first half, like people were talking about Karius against Arsenal. He had one in which like Vardy almost took the ball from his, from right under him, and him and Lovren together in that defense. I mean, it's not good for us health-wise as fans.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. So once again, we have a big game coming up, obviously, on Tuesday against Moscow. So I'm hoping that we can get a good result, because I wasn't too happy with the result against Sevilla. I thought we should have won that game, especially given the game was at home. I think this game has a possibility of being tricky. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a walk in the park, but all in all, we should take this game. And but if we don't, we're making it really tricky on ourselves going forward, because we'll have basically 4 games to get it right. So hopefully everything goes well for the Champions League game, and most likely we'll also do a podcast for that one after. But guys, I want to thank you for joining today. Really appreciate it, and we'll pick this up probably after the Champions League game.
Sure, hopefully so. And also, as for the Spartak game, they might be missing their best player, Quincy Proms, and they've won only 3 of the first 11 games of the season, and then they're in 7th place out of 16 teams. So it shouldn't be like, if we don't get the 3 points against them, that's a big problem.
Yeah. Well, they're due to have a performance then, I guess, against us. For sure. Fergs, any last thoughts?
It's just going to be interesting to see kind of the team he puts out, how many changes. There is only a very short space of time before we have the game. It's Tuesday, isn't it? So
yeah,
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see who he starts. I said, based upon what you said, and Clavan and Lovren are basically doing their best to not get picked right now. So how does he make that work? And I just can't wait to see Mane back as well. So excited, but apprehensive. I'll leave it at that.
Cool. Excellent, guys. So thanks again for joining. Really appreciate it, and we'll pick it up shortly. Take care. Have a good one.
You too, man.
Yep, catch you next time, dude.
Take care.